All right, so we are back and we are live. I'm just checking to make sure that folks can see us online. Super excited to have special guest with us today, Julian, former student that just crushed it while he was with Creating Coding Careers, and of course my co-host Alex. So I'm gonna step out, let you guys do your thing. Please feel free if you're seeing this on the interwebs to give us a like, a comment, a subscribe. We do this every week, or at least we're now doing it publicly every week, and super excited to see people RSVPing and signing up for this because I think we're going to kick some knowledge today. So I'll toss it over to you, Alex.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Like Mike said, we have a former apprentice and alumnus now. Julian's going to be joining us, or he's with us now. He's a self-taught programmer. He flew through the curriculum, got himself a nice apprenticeship over there with Pathways Consulting. Welcome, Julian.
Hey,
So
Alex.
eventually, we named this, going over your building your first app on ServiceNow, and we're going to get to that. But I want to rewind all the way back to when you first started getting into coding. Like, what sparked that interest in coding?
I've always kind of just been into like technology since I was, a kid, and I've always wanted to get into tech. I just didn't know what to get into.
Yeah.
And for example, as a kid, I was jailbreaking iPhones and like customizing my wallpaper, my background into like so silly stuff. And then I graduated to that, so maybe like a little bit like HTML and MySpace, and just I kind of just took it from there.
And so, since you've been gone, Mike developed this great program. It's a pre-apprenticeship program, and so there's a lot of students who joined, a lot of students who've already gone through the curriculum that's already out there. There's still more curriculum to come. But one of the common questions I get asked is, since they've gone through the portion of the curriculum that's already been formed, they say, "What do I do next, Alex?" And I think you're the perfect person to go over. What do you do since you're a self-taught programmer? What do you recall going through? Like, what? How did you figure out how to code? Were there certain resources that you recall that are better resources to go through to teach you the fundamentals of HTML, CSS, JavaScript? And I know you know React too. You knew React even coming into the apprenticeship. Like, what did you do to build up all these skills, even in React?
I learned the basics first. Just I just Google searched how to learn JavaScript, and from there I was like, okay, I know what strings are, I know the basics. What now? And usually when you finish the basics, everyone's all like, make your own project, you know.
Yep.
And then, but what do you make as a beginner, And you start off with the console, and from the console, honestly, I what I did is there's a subreddit called Learn Programming, and everyone's just posting questions like, oh, what project idea, stuff like that, or what you should do after the basics. And I followed, a lot of their general advice. So I learned JavaScript, and from learning JavaScript, I did, little text-based projects, and then from that, the next thing is you want to build a GUI. So I looked into like frameworks for JavaScript, and apparently like React was really popular and it was easiest to learn, and so I took that up and I just created my own project from there.
So one of the things that I point them to is you recall when you're in the apprenticeship, first thing in the morning, first thing to do is get those brain juices flowing. We would do the Codewords challenge. And so I tell them, go check out this website called codewars.com. And this particular link that I just posted up, it's got a series of 42 different challenges. And it just walks you through all the fundamentals, how to use string methods, how to use array methods, how to use regular expressions. And I want to give a shout out to one of our apprentices. This is Rodrigo Aguayo. He also posted a great resource. It's called frontendmentor.io. And what that is kind of like a hackathon website where it pretty much gives you assets. It tells you, look, this is what we expect you to build. Here's the assets. Go do it. And I just posted that as well for you guys if you're looking for something to work on. As well as what Julian just mentioned, they're a great resource for you guys to start learning how to code after you finished, the pre-apprenticeship program. And if you have other resources you'd like to recommend, please drop them down here in the chat and share with the rest of the pre-apprentices and apprentices. We'd appreciate that. So can you tell us, remember when you first started the apprenticeship? I remember you blasted right through it. What was your experience like going through the apprenticeship?
You know, it, I Honestly, I thought it was easy, but I mean, a big part of that was before I joined the apprentice, I was unemployed for a little bit, and so I was unemployed for like maybe almost a year, and during that time, I was a lot, and I thought to myself, you know, I need to switch careers, and I want to make this happen really bad. What can I do? And so I spent the majority of my time like learning React, learning and creating my own personal projects. So by the time I got to the apprenticeship, um, I already knew like almost everything about like the curriculum. So I just that allowed me like all the projects I did allowed me to go through the curriculum really fast.
So a lot of the apprentices, they're new to code. And we have a lot of pre-apprentices who already have experience coding, just like you. But a lot of them experience imposter syndrome. Can you talk a little bit about that? Have you ever felt that? And what does that feel like? Can you describe what imposter syndrome feels like to you?
Well, to me, it just feels like for example, at Pathways, I feel like I'm really dumb. Like, sometimes it takes, even though I flew by the curriculum and, I was able to get my CSA in a short amount of time, there's still like so much information you need to learn. And just learning the fundamentals, it doesn't really prepare you as much as what you're actually going to be doing in day-to-day work as a ServiceNow developer.
Yeah.
And so for me, it just felt like, I don't know, I felt really dumb. I couldn't solve like basic problems, It took me a little bit longer than it should have. And it just feels like maybe like there's something like I'm not suited for this job, Like it's taking me too long, like maybe they expect more out of me, just stuff like that.
And it seems like it's a feeling that doesn't quite go away. So for apprentices, the ones that are just starting out to code for the very first time, I remember we studied with the Merge Stack. And so first thing we do is we teach you how to do HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and we build up these little projects in Web 102. And, as they're going through it, some people come up to me and say, Alex, I'm not feeling like this is for me. I'm not catching on as fast as everybody else. And everybody always feels this way. And as you go from, Web 102 into Node, that's the next thing we start learning. The same feeling creeps up. Anytime something new comes up, you have this feeling like, wow, this is really difficult. And it's just the newness of it, I think. Even when you go from Node to React, again, you hit another wall and you're like, wow, this is so different. And you feel a little bit uncomfortable. You just have to get used to feeling uncomfortable. Would you agree? It's like, this is that feeling, as you just mentioned, even going from something that was easy for you into something that's new, like ServiceNow. Even now, you're starting to feel that a little bit of an imposter syndrome. But would you agree it's kind of something that just kind of creeps in every time you visit something new and eventually goes away over time?
Yeah, definitely. I know I talked to Eric and my manager, and they, I've seen him. I got a shout out Eric, and I got to see like how he works, and it made me feel better to know that like him and my manager went through the same thing. Like they were telling me to like, oh, like just Google search this or that. Like it's okay. Like eventually you'll get it, and it's true. Like you may feel like you don't know anything or like it's taking you too long to like figure something out, but eventually you're gonna get it, and the next time you come back to it, you're gonna be able to like finish it so much faster.
And so once you were done with the curriculum, Mike placed you with a company called Pathways Consulting, and you were an apprentice under them for some time. What was like that? Like, how did they introduce ServiceNow to you, and how did they get you comfortable with that platform?
Well, the first thing they did was they gave us a course to complete. It was called Scripting Fundamentals for ServiceNow, and after that, they had their own like set of stories, maybe like 60 stories for us to work on. And so we would go through those, and we had I think we worked with someone over there named Matt. So as soon as we would finish the stories, he would go over the stories with us and to see what we did wrong, and check it for us and tell us, oh, like by the way, like so some of the stories were made out to be like contradictory to each other, so you could learn like if you made this button mandatory in this business rule, but you also made it in this data policy and in this data policy, they're going to contradict each other. And so that's why like maybe you're going to get this error, And so that was really, really helpful.
And so part of I guess the on-ramping to Pathways was a Capstone project. I guess that was kind of after you spent, I think, a couple of months with them. They asked you to build something, an actual app using ServiceNow. And I think you mentioned that you use some of the free resources that are available on ServiceNow's platform. And can you go over that? Like, what exactly did you use? Maybe you can show us, if you could just hop on, maybe share your screen, kind of show us where those resources lie, which ones you felt were most helpful. And then if you can go ahead and share the Capstone project that you ended up doing for Pathways.
Yeah, sure. Let's share screen. All right, can you see my screen?
Nope, not yet.
Oh, present. Sorry. Sorry, I've never used StreamYard before.
Oh, don't worry about it, man. Take your time.
Present. Share screen. All right, how about now?
Let's see.
Oh.
Okay, there we go.
Okay, so the first resource that I used was so if you go to ServiceNow developer and you click learn and go to courses and you go to this ServiceNow application developer course. I think this one is very, very useful because if you do this course, you're going to learn a lot about ServiceNow as a platform, and it's going to let you pass your. Not only is it going to let you pass your CSA, it's going to let you pass like your CAD, because a lot of the, since it's like a course for the ServiceNow application developer, a lot of what they teach you also teach you about like the ServiceNow application developer information that you need for that. So I would do this first, and then right here, and then I have so I was saying like scripting fundamentals. So there's scripting fundamentals. This one definitely recommend you do. It'll teach you about how like all the different ways you can script in ServiceNow. There's also like there's so many like courses on ServiceNow that are free that you can use. So if you have like time, I also recommend like just looking at to see what they have. But they have Portal, ServiceNow Portal. You can do Portal fundamentals, on demand, simulator, and then advanced, and it'll teach you all you need to do for the service portal.
And so that first resources you said that one was free, right? So that's pretty much free to anybody. And I believe even ServiceNow has a free Welcome to ServiceNow course where they teach you the very, very basic fundamentals. And after that, it would be great to follow up maybe on this first site you were mentioning to really get their hands dirty, right, and working with ServiceNow.
Yeah. So if you don't have if you're not with CCC and you don't have an account with them to access Now Learning, definitely just even if you only do this course, you'll be set. You'll be able to take your CSA. You're going to be able to do like your own projects. You might need to keep referring back to the course, but you're going to be able to pass your CSA and your CAD.
And so, what is the CAD? You mentioned the CAD a couple of times. What is that exactly?
The ServiceNow Certified Application Developer certification.
Okay.
So like I know Pathways has been encouraging a lot of the development consultants in the company to take it. It's kind of like a requirement. So I think eventually, if you're going to be working on ServiceNow, you're going to want to get your CAD.
And so you also did a capstone project for Pathways, and I think I just saw a hint of it. You kind of clicked on it. Can you walk us through how you created this using ServiceNow?
So I think I remember talking to Matt, and he told me, oh hey, by the way, we want you to make a capstone project, maybe like something like Pizza Hut or something, And at that time I was thinking about like what can I make in ServiceNow, and I was so lost, and he had mentioned Pizza Hut, so I was like maybe I could add like items to ServiceNow to do maybe like a movie catalog, and so that's how I thought about making this project.
And so, yeah, if you could just walk us through kind of how you did step-by-step process of how you went about making this using ServiceNow.
So the first thing I had to actually got the inspiration. So this is a so I actually got the idea for like, because so basically this is I see these are CMDB items. Each movie is a CMDB item, and so I wanted to use a list collector for the cart so I can add multiple movies to the same cart. And I had no idea how to do that, but I was shadowing Eric, and he was using list collectors for one of his projects that he was working on. And so I thought, okay, maybe I could use a list collector. And so initially I had tried creating a custom table. Initially I had tried using a custom table without it being in the CMDB, but that wouldn't have allowed me to add in each individual movie in this order. So I had to think outside of the box of like, how am I gonna add it to the service portal? And so that's when I thought, wait a minute, they have the CMDB. Why don't I just use that? And the more I learned about the CMDB, I learned how to use it, because basically the CMDB is just like it's like a giant table that stores like devices like servers, computers, stuff like that. And I thought, well, a movie is it's a physical item. It could be kind of like a computer, where like you might have like a Dell laptop or an Apple laptop or stuff like that. And so I thought, okay, why don't I just make a CMDB item for movie and then just add them onto the CMDB. And so that's how I was able to get this. And so these are all custom widgets. This one. Also have one for incidents, requests. These are all the same widget. They just have different table arguments. And
Nice.
so and so like I could like add this to cart. Maybe I want to add Casper to cart and Ponyo. And I can go to my cart, proceed to checkout. And if I go to my tickets, it should appear right here. Wait, is it this one? No. But I mean that's basically like what it does. So that this is like, and it's cool. It's crazy too, because like when you work on a project, you have to. The more you do something, you're gonna erase. Like I ended up erasing a whole bunch of data, like concepts I had made for like the tables.
Yeah.
And I learned that like when you're taking the ServiceNow the administrator course,
mm-hmm.
You learn that the task table is the most extended table.
Yep.
And then creating my own project, like it really taught me like why, because like for example, this rental history extends the task table, and so that lets me create subtasks to crew. So I can assign maybe like an ITIL user the task of like maybe sending the movies to the renter's home or something like that,
So for everybody who's not familiar with ServiceNow yet, again, ServiceNow has a Welcome to ServiceNow module where you can go learn about the basics of ServiceNow. And just like Julian explained and is showcasing now, you could go to see their free resources, check out your own developer instance, go through the curriculum there, and you should develop the knowledge, not only to build a beautiful app like this, but be prepared to take that CSA exam. Would you say going through this definitely gave you the skill set you think to better take that CSA exam? I think you had taken it already before you took this, or before you created this app, but do you feel like creating that app gave you a better understanding of what ServiceNow, what its capabilities are, what you could do with it, and would it have prepared you better to take the CSA exam?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah. If I would have made the app before I would have taken the CSA, I think I would have like, I don't know what my score was, but I think if whatever that score was, I think I would have done way better on the exam.
And so they were obviously impressed, and they offered you a job with them at Pathways. So can you walk us through what are you doing there now? What does a typical day look like for you right now as a ServiceNow developer?
Well, right now I'm on like two different projects that I'm working on, and so I just like I wake up and I have like a queue of tasks that I need to complete before like maybe the project deadline, and so like every day I work on my task. If I have questions, I ask my my tech lead or my maybe the business analyst or like the quality assurance guy, and they help me out. It's been really helpful because like I'll work on a project or I'll work on a story, and maybe I don't have a defect because maybe I didn't understand what the acceptance criteria was, you know.
Yeah.
And so like my quality assurance guy, like he tells me, hey, by the way, this isn't working the way it should. It needs to be done this way, you know. And I can go back and like from what he tells me, that maybe I had done wrong. It teaches you like it, you know, you learn from it, you know.
Yeah. So how much time do you think a part of your day are you coding, and how much time are you maybe interacting with some of your colleagues or in group meetings? What does a day look like in that respect?
Well, it kind of just depends on like the tasks. If there's short stories, maybe like 2 hours to an hour long, um, depending on like if you made any errors or anything, then maybe you won't. If you don't make any errors, you probably won't talk to your like team that much. But maybe if you need some clarification, you'll end on like a couple of stories. You know, you'll spend maybe like an hour out of a day, maybe like talking to them, but like an hour spread out through the entire day, you know, or less sometimes.
Sure. And so I know you've been racking up certificates. You just mentioned that you got your CAD already. What do you see in the near future? What are your goals as far as where you'd like to go within the ServiceNow ecosystem?
Well, hopefully, I want to get into Service Portal. Eventually, I want to like maybe like become an expert in like Service Portal, because that's really where like if you want like maybe if you don't want to be in ServiceNow, but because like it's kind of low code, um, then and you want to do maybe like a little bit more traditional development, then I would be doing like I would be trying to focus on getting into the Service Portal.
Service Portal. So everybody who's out there, feel free to drop any questions you might have for Julian. I do have another question. So what kind of advice would you give somebody just starting out, either in the pre-apprenticeship, wanting to get into the apprenticeship, or just apprentice right now, kind of just waiting on standby, trying to find a job, or waiting to be placed with a ServiceNow partner? What kind of advice would you give for them?
Well, if you're just starting out, definitely learn like get a good foundation on like JavaScript, because even though you're like it might seem like you're doing not that much coding, but in reality, it's probably not as much as traditional development, but it's still enough to where like that you're gonna have you're gonna need a solid foundation in JavaScript in order to like do a lot of the tasks, you know, because you're gonna be querying tables, you're gonna be working with lists, strings, and all that kind of stuff. And so like if you don't have that good foundation, then you're not gonna be able to like it's gonna be so much harder than it needs to be. If you have a good foundation, working with the platform just make it so much easier because the only thing you're really focusing on then is learning the platform and not learning both, you know.
Yep. And do you do use JavaScript in your day-to-day duties while working with ServiceNow?
Yeah, definitely. Like I honestly I thought it wasn't gonna be as much, but it's definitely enough to where like I use JavaScript every single day.
I have a question. This is coming from Matthew Meyer, one of our pre-apprentices. Do you have an understanding of more traditional code like JavaScript and algorithms? Do they help you understand ServiceNow? I think
Yeah,
you just
definitely.
answered that one. Yeah, so you just answered that one. So
Yeah.
for sure.
I, when I was working with my mentor, he actually taught me tree with the you know the tree algorithms, breadth first and all those kind of algorithms.
Yeah.
And so like one thing he like Joshua like that he stressed was modularity, and I like that's super important in like traditional development, but it's also important in like ServiceNow, because you might be working, you might be making script includes for kind of like they're kind of back-end scripts that you could use for like different kind of tables or whatever, and like making them as modular as you can definitely helps you like use it for like different edge cases.
And also, I know a lot of people who work in the ServiceNow industry have mentioned, we should definitely get our students to learn how to use Angular, SAS, Bootstrap, in particular Bootstrap 3. Have you used any of those while working with ServiceNow?
Yeah, definitely. That project that I made, actually, it's not like, because ServiceNow only uses Angular and Bootstrap 3, and so you need, like, I had to teach myself how to use Angular and Bootstrap 3. But to be honest, it's not that hard, especially if you do the courses on if you do the courses on Portal. They give you PDFs which you can like keep referring back to in case you forget how to do something in Angular or whatever.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So that's all the questions I have for you, Julian. Thank you so much for stopping by. What would be the best way to get in touch with you if anybody had any questions or would like to follow up? I'd like to drop your LinkedIn if that's okay with you, so people can reach out to you.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, and if you want to reach out, I'm always on LinkedIn.
So here's Julian's LinkedIn for anybody who would like to reach out to him. Thank you so much again, Julian, for taking out some time and spending it with us. I wish you well in pathways and can't see where you go next.
Yeah, thanks, Alex.
Thanks, Julian. I'll see you. Bye, everybody.